forgot about the microphone here. This is a really good headset. I'm not gonna say who makes it, but it's got a cutoff switch. You raise the mic and it cuts off automatically. But sometimes you forget that it's off, and then you talk and you look like a fool. Um, I think this is video 699. I lost count, but I wanted to make it. It's two videos today. It's kind of a weird day, but I found out about 20 minutes ago. Well, found out a lot of things 20 minutes ago, but one of them, the reason for making this video is you'd have to know a little bit of backstory. When I got married, well, before I got married, my sister and I didn't always see eye to eye, which is weird because it was my sister who really got me back together with my mom after my parents' divorce. My parents, when I was in middle school, got divorced, and my dad really ran a very successful smear campaign against my mom, turned me against my mom. I didn't see my mom until about 10 to 12 years later, when I was in college. So I missed out on a large chunk of my mom and my grandparents' life. My grandparents went from being two very old people who would come and visit and do Christmas presents and, were active in a way, to being decrepit. uh, there's a large chunk of my life that I probably am very angry about. Well, used to be. I'm not so much anymore. But that's neither here nor there. My sister was the linchpin for getting me back together with my mom. She was very pushy. So you would think that, we would have a very good relationship, and we don't. When I got married, my sister sort of went out of her way to ruin it. She wrecked my marriage. Not wrecked just made the day terrible for my family and me. And so we're not really together as you might think. Why am I telling you this? Because my sister, when I transitioned some 5 years ago, she told me that I was an embarrassment to her. She didn't like that her friends on Facebook were asking about me. She was ashamed of me, and so she said, "You're no longer part of my life." She cut me off. And at the time, when you're in that part of your transition, you're very I'm not going to say acrimonious. You don't want to make waves, so you're like, okay, well, I respect you, da, 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 da. And I still do, in spite of all she's done against me. But part of that was I lost access to my niece. I have a niece, and before I transitioned, I was the cool uncle to my niece. I can remember holding her, and when she was a toddler, doing stuff with her as she grew up. I was the one at Christmas time who would put together her toys. Santa at the North Pole, I was Santa's helper. Unbeknownst to her, I put together her toys, her Barbies, her, the dream house. I put it together. Her bicycles, I built them. I was the uncle behind the scenes who contributed a lot, which she probably doesn't know about. But anyway, so when I transitioned, she was old teenager. And over the last 5 years, she's graduated high school. She's thought about going to college. She got pregnant. She had 2 kids. A lot has happened in her life. She's a young adult now. And because I wanted to respect my sister's wishes, I didn't try to go around her. I didn't try to keep up my relationship. Which you probably could say, well, your niece is an adult now. She can make her own decisions. So poo-poo on me for not trying to reach out to her. But I have, I wanted to respect that because my sister's wishes is that I'm not part of the family, and to a certain degree, my dad and whatnot. When I transitioned, I lost half of my family, you know. But my niece has 2 kids. She's 2 twins. And I know this because my ex-wife is still on her Facebook feed, I'm the one that got blackballed, right? My ex-wife didn't. My ex-wife was a friend. I was the enemy. I'm the one that got cut off. My ex-wife didn't. So occasionally my ex-wife would say to me, "Oh, have you seen pictures of so-and-so?" And I would be like, "No, I haven't." And she's like, "Oh, well, it's on their Facebook page." And I had to say to her, I'm not allowed to be in that realm of the family. And so that's the background. So about a week ago, I got my mom said she was coming up to go to the first year. The kids are 1 year old in a couple weeks, next week. The 2 twins, the 2 boys, the children. My great nephews, I guess, if such a thing exists. And I was like, oh, that's good. I'm glad that they're, a year old. I was happy for them, happy for her, happy for them. And my mom said something like, well, I'm gonna fly up there, and I was thinking that maybe you could drive and we could meet you halfway. And I said, well, sure, that'd be great. I said, I had kind of heard they lived somewhere in Michigan or northern Indiana. And she said, well, let me ask around, whatever. She had to ask permission from my sister to share with me this information. And I was excited because I'd get to see my niece, right? I mean, if my niece is going to drive my mom, or my sister is going to drive my mom, I'm going to get to see them. I mean, I haven't seen them in 6 years, right? I was very happy. But my mom wouldn't tell me where they lived. So I kind of said to her, I said, well, I'm excited, but if I'm going to meet you somewhere, I have to know where I'm going. And she said, well, maybe plan your trip as if you're going to Indianapolis. And I said, okay. So as this progressed, my mom said, well, I think what's going on is your sister is beginning to feel a little guilt for not letting you be part of your niece's life. And I said, okay, well, good. We're building bridges. We're building that relationship. I've always felt like I've been hands up, hands out. Anytime, please, anytime you need any help, you want to talk to me or whatever. And as it turns out, I finally got the city out. And would you believe they live like 30 minutes from me? Found that out today, about 20 minutes ago. And it just, I'm feeling the sadness emotion, and I'm not crying because I'm not on estrogen. We talked about that earlier today. But it saddens me that I have family 30 minutes from me that I didn't know about because their mother, my sister, was ashamed of me, is ashamed of me, might still be ashamed of me, even though she wants to meet me, which again, I think that is a step in the right direction. But the more that I talk to my mom tonight about it, the more I get the impression this is something my mom is orchestrating. My mom is trying to force my sister to come back to me, or to meet back up again. This was not a, oh, I think it's a good time to make amends with my brother type thing. This is my mom orchestrating this. And I guess it just saddens me that here we are, 2020, which I know has been just a chaotic year from hell. But the fact that my niece, 3 years ago, however many years ago, she moved out on her own with her husband, her new husband, had the kids, and has been living by herself 30 minutes from me. I mean, literally right up the road. And, who knows what her opinion is. I don't know what she thinks about me. But, it just blows my mind that you have to have family, and she's been living for 3 years on her own. And again, maybe she wants to be on her own. I don't know. But when I was 21, I mean, I would have shit a brick if I had a family member care about me, or a family member that would be interested in me or wondering how I'm doing. I mean, like I said, I don't know her situation. I don't know anything, Like I said, my last memory of her is middle school, late middle school. But it just, it just blows my mind how, because of my transition, we were forced to live in silos. I could not reach out to her because my sister didn't want us to be talking to each other, because my sister is embarrassed by my existence. And how that could just go on and on and on. And obviously I'm not the first person this has happened to. I mean, this is probably par for the course as far as transitioning goes. But it just blows my mind. Just like I said, all that love and concern and care. Uncle Robin was put in a box and sent to hell. put in a box on a shelf, and sent away. And you know, it's so it's such an odd, it's such a rare occurrence to have one human being so, like you would look after someone else, you would care about someone else. And again, for that to be turned away, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see what the future holds, but it just blows my mind. And yet I can understand. I lived in a bubble until I went to college. You know, like I said, I didn't know my mom. The last time I saw my mom in 7th grade, and then I didn't see my mom until I was a junior in college. So I can kind of understand that. When you're following your parents' directive, and then at some point you begin to live for yourself, and you begin to question, and you figure out what you want to do. So maybe she's, who, for all I know, she initiated. I don't know. I don't know. I have reached out to her on Facebook, and my friend request was not accepted. So it tells me I'm still kind of blackballed. But, I have pictures in my photo album in the other room of me holding her when she was a baby, changing her diapers, the times that I would read to her. Blows my mind. Just that someone would say, all of that doesn't matter because you're transitioning. Anyway, to be continued. It's not written in stone. Nothing's been decided yet. The I have their address now. Part of me wants to, just show up. That was the other thing too. I'm not invited to the party. My mom said, "Yeah, we're gonna have the birthday party on such and such a date, and so's coming out, and we're gonna do this and we're gonna do that." And I'm just sitting there going, "I'm not invited to the party? No, not invited to the party." Maybe this is a first step. Maybe I'll get invited to the next party. I don't know, but 30 fucking miles away. Doesn't that blow your mind? Doesn't that blow your mind? They're probably children not 5 miles away who would love to have a foster parent or a counselor. There was a while that I volunteered. I was a volunteer for the Louisville Youth Group for a little while. Got to mentor, or not mentor, but just be a listening post for young trans youth, just to listen to what they had to say. And so very, very different than when I was younger. We've all been through that. Feelings of shame and guilt, self-imposed. It's cool to think that now there's a youth group you can join, that you can say, "Yeah, I'm a girl, I'm a boy." I mean, it's liberating. It makes me happy. But again, I guess in my own situation, it makes me think about, my niece. Being told she couldn't see her aunt, her uncle. Did she care? Who knows? I mean, you just don't know what's going on in someone else's life. I could be way, way, way low on the totem pole. But, you know, I think about Christmases and Thanksgivings. I think of them as being a new couple in a city. And if they had known that I was here, would we have gotten together? You know? Anyway, stuff's on the horizon, I'm sure. And maybe, like I said, this is a stepping stone. This is a handshake. This is the first thing. If it is my mom at work, and whatnot. But shit, blows my mind. But we move forward. We move forward. There is the future to think of. There is the future to think of. And I don't know. Don't know. Makes you wonder, though. Just as children, I'm going to diverge a little bit. My daughter grew up with two children in town, and I was the fun. I mentioned before I was the fun uncle. I always was the fun uncle, and when my daughter was in second and third and fourth grade, we got into RC trucks, and I called him my nephew, but it would be like my second or third nephew, you know. But the way my ex-wife's family is, I mean, once you're a family member, you're a family member. It doesn't matter how distant or whatnot. So, and the two children would spend the night with my daughter, and we would just have fun, and I'd cook for them, and I'd set up the basement for them. They could run around. They'd play ball. We'd race the trucks. We'd go out, go mudding in the trucks and everything. And same thing. When I transitioned, it was cut off. But what I was wondering is, what does a child think when they're, how much do they really remember, to know, to be so close to someone and to be cognizant of it, and then for there to be a break, and then to reconnect. Obviously I would be an aunt to them now, and I still do the RC trucks. I go out mudding. I'm still the fun uncle. I'm still the fun aunt. But could they make that jump? I like to think that as children they're pretty flexible. They could. But, in the time that I've transitioned, the phone doesn't ring. And my daughter, they don't play with my daughter anymore. You know what I mean? It's obvious that we interrupt our own lives, our own friendships, but we're so worried about the other things that orbit us. My daughter and her friends, her cousins, her family members, and I see them in the store. I mean, I live in the same town. Occasionally, I'll run into one of them at the grocery store, and they're very civil. They're very friendly. I'm very friendly with them. I mean, it's maybe just they grow up, and it's just coincidence. I don't know. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see because the city that we live in has like 4 elementary schools and then 3 middle schools, but 1 high school. And so when my daughter was younger, she had a group of people, friends that she met with and whatnot. And then in middle school, they all kind of got scrambled up. But then at high school, they're going to all be back together again. And I think it'd be kind of interesting to see, if she rekindles any of those friendships. And then how will those children as young adults treat me? If they do. If they do. They may not even give a shit. I mean, but it's an interesting dynamic. But anyway, back to the family thing. It's part of this process. And it's interesting that we are, for the longest time, we stunt our own growth for fear of the change that we're going to cause in other people's lives. And so we're encouraged to not change. We don't make other waves in other people's lives, but we're unhappy internally. We're leading lives of quiet desperation. I believe that was Thoreau who wrote that. And then when we reach our fulfillment and we're an actualized person, our sense of self-efficacy is so high. We're very positive, happy people. The people who turn their backs on us, they don't get to meet us as our full selves. When we're happy and things are moving forward, they don't want to be a part of that. And it's kind of a shame. I guess maybe we can hope in time they'll come back to us, but and we meet other people and we make new friends, I guess. The COVID has really kind of messed that up. But I keep telling myself that, when it ends, I'm going to go back to playing Warhammer 40K. I'm going to play fantasy. I'm going to do stuff with people. Now's not the time to make a life decision about meeting people when there's a pandemic going on. So, anyway, that's my talk. And I wish everyone is doing super duper cool. I hope you're having a good day. Seasons are changing. Things are getting a little bit cooler this time of year. And, it's a good time for self-reflection, I think. This time of year lends itself to self-reflection. And out of that maybe comes some new seeds we can plant in the spring. Things we're going to do differently when we have the opportunity. So, on that note, I will say I wish you, as always, the best of luck in becoming your authentic self as you define it. And I hope that things are going well for you today. Till next time. Bye-bye.